Absolutely. Just one correction. You said Sebelius was EPA. I believe that's Jackson. The last two.
I'm sorry. Well, she's the one over the carbon taxes.
Yes, correct. Two of the last speeches I've watched, Barry Soetoro mentioned common purpose. I just want to request you get Dr. Tenpenny on this fall to address the flu vaccine issue with the combination, an LA Times article about them forcing vaccinations on the healthcare workers. All healthcare workers need to stand up for everyone's rights.
Well, that's another example. I saw a local Austin newscast last week now, where they admitted they're going to ban plastic bags. They're going to have forced inoculations in Texas. They're going to control everything you do. And they just admitted all this hardcore tyranny. People are like, well, plastic bags, that'll save the earth. They tell you what type of light bulbs you can have, what type of toilet, what type of house, what type of bags. It's all about control over everything you do. If people think plastic bags are bad, actually paper creates more acid, more toxic waste, destroys more trees. It's one thing to get people socially to do better things for the environment, but really all it is setting the precedent for total control. Lauren, I appreciate your great points. Mark in Florida, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I wanted to talk to you about national sovereignty. I've been reading these Fletcher Prouty books, and he has an interesting idea about national sovereignty. And I wasn't very much interested in this until I started to listen to your show a few years ago. So let me just read a real quick quote by him from page 162 of the JFK book. It says, although it is always assumed that national sovereignty is inviolate, in today's world, national sovereignty has become an archaic and unworkable sham. It does not even exist among the great powers, and it is continuously violated secretly. Then again, in the preface to The Secret Team, he says, it is time to face the fact that true national sovereignty no longer exists. We live in a world of big business, big lawyers, big blankets, even bigger money men, and big politicians. We are now, despite common mythology to the contrary, the most dependent society that has ever lived.
And that was written in the 70s, and that was written in the 70s by the Pentagon head, of Black Ops. But the issue here is that the world government they're establishing is tyrannical and oppressive. And so many Star Trek heads say, well, that's just the next step, world government. This is not a people's world government. This is a murderous world government.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I agree. Yeah, I just wanted to see what you thought about it, Alex, because it was it kind of knocked me over when I read it, what he said.
Well, no, that's the fact, sir, and I appreciate your call. Let's jam in another one here. Let's talk to Tim in Michigan. Tim, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Good, go ahead.
This is your man on the ground, Tim from Michigan. I guess you could call me Trending Tim, if that reminds you of anything.
No, it doesn't, but what's on your mind?
Well, me and you had the conversation about the Yahoo trending thing.
Oh, yeah, you had the idea for us to start doing search terms and making them number one, which we've done 20 times now.
Exactly. And I wanted to say...
Hey, I got to go to break. All right, final segment. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. Let me run through some news and try to get to your calls here at the end. U.S. poverty on track to post record gain in 2009. They're always a year late when they give you economic statistics. This is from the Associated Press. People are saying Barack Obama did that. No, George Bush, Bill Clinton, they all did that. They worked for the group that wants to destroy the economy. Here's another one, CNBC. Outlook, gloomy at secret billionaire meeting. And then these top billionaires report on all the things they've done to us, but then talk about how economically destitute we are and pose as our saviors. And it just goes on and on and on. Here's another one up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. United States Joint Forces Command warns that huge U.S. debt might lead to military impotence, default, or revolution. What did the British intelligence report 3 years ago say? But they work for the very same banks that have done this by design. So they've been building up this police state to suppress revolution against their hijacking of our economy. And then meanwhile, the total defense budget's close to $2 trillion. $2 trillion, 1.1 trillion, and then all the supplemental. So what do they want? More wars, but we're going bankrupt. They don't care. The globalists are offshore. They don't care if the troops breathe DU or people die from the asbestos at ground zero or people get sick from core exit. We're just a bunch of scum to them. A bunch of scum. You can even give the public solutions, and they just get mad at who brings them solutions. So the elite says, hey, these people will put up with anything. Let's run over them. And then here's high treason. Right here in this stack. This is out of AP as well. It says Mexican gunmen fire at Border Patrol agents. The FBI is investigating after armed men shot at Border Patrol agents in Rio Grande. The agents returned fire. And then here's another one. USA Today. U.S. shifts approach to deporting illegal immigrants. No other country has open borders like this. But this is an inside political group they're going to use as a weapon. The Obama administration is changing the federal immigration enforcement strategy in ways that reduce the threat of deportation for millions of illegal immigrants. Even as states such as Arizona, Colorado, Virginia, Ohio, Texas are pushing to accelerate deportations. And it goes on to basically say they're not even arresting them. Oh, they'll have a few staged arrests every year for the media, but that's it. And what did CNS News report 2 weeks ago? In Arizona, they pulled the Border Patrol back 10 miles. They're not even allowed to enforce. Because the globalists, under the North American Union Agreement, the SPP, Security Prosperity Partnership, want open borders. They want people here to drive down the wages. They want to make them citizens to vote for gun control. Over 90% of these illegals, once they become citizens, vote for that. It's simple. They're bringing in a foreign mercenary workforce to get their job done and break the back of this country while you're busy sucking your thumb watching football. And so when they take your pension funds and when you lose your standard of living, you'll just look to the next presidential puppet to save you. Now, I want to play part of a local Fox newscast to analyze it here, because this is actually a pretty good newscast. They admit all these big brother nanny state things that are happening, but this is worldwide this is happening. And this isn't just nanny state. This is police state, total and complete control. What did NBC headline? On Friday I covered. It said police state in Philadelphia. Warrantless searches on the roads, at the bus stops, the trains, and the police are quoted as saying, we can do anything we want. What did Congressman Stark say a month ago? The federal government can do anything it wants. The bankers that run our federal government are setting the precedent to do whatever they want.
More and more Americans do think the government has gone too far, and they're standing up to take back their rights.
They certainly are. In fact, Reason.com ranked the worst and best cities for personal freedoms, and Austin didn't fare so well. Fox 7's Fody Clertis with perhaps a reason why.
The latest law to stir up the debate on government intrusion right here in Williamson County. It wasn't long ago you could spark up a cigarette or a cigar just about anywhere outside, and then the 15-foot law was passed, and now as of October, you'll be pushed back, way back. Try off the county property that your tax dollars help build. And it doesn't stop there.
Okay, then they get into forced inoculations and banning plastic bags. But notice, it's always incremental. It's always more. You're just being trained to accept anything and everything from these people. But they violate all their own laws. They do whatever they want. All over the country, they're trying to ban salt in restaurants. They're trying to put in vending machines nationwide where you got to swipe your driver's license and retina scan to get a bottle of wine. I was in a convenience store. No, I was in the airport. I've seen it in convenience stores as well. But the latest one, I was flying back from shooting with Jesse Ventura in Atlanta, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana for the TV show coming up in the fall, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And I flew into Houston, and I was waiting for my flight back to Austin, a connection. And I watched a woman who had to be 70 or older. And she walked over, and she was getting a piece of pizza. And she said, I want a Michelob Ultra. And the guy said, I've got to see your license. And then he takes it and scans it. And she says, what did you just do? Well, I've got to scan it. See, it goes through a database. So this is going on everywhere. And they don't allow that guy behind the counter to make the decision. This woman is at least 70 years old. I mean, she had a bald spot, for heaven's sakes. It was an old lady with her hair falling out, and she can't have a beer, man. She's got to give her little ID, and she's got to have it swiped to get that beer. And, I mean, I watched Ventura with his hip replacement get searched and patted down and squeezed. I watched women having their breasts squeezed in the checkpoints, I flying around. It's a joke. And Ventura said that's why he's looking to fully leave the U.S. He just can't put up with it. And it's about training us to submit to anything and everything. But the good news is the public is angry, they're upset, and they realize what's happening, and more people are saying no. And it took 5% to start the Revolutionary War and to win it. We got way more than 5%. We probably got 30%, the numbers I've seen that are fully awake now. Go out and wake up the rest of the public, and together we're going to start saying no. The naked body scanners. The airlines say that flights are way down. People are mad. The airline executives are calling for them to be removed. It's an inside deal with shirt off to individually make millions of dollars. The company's billions with thousands of these scanners going in. They admit it bathes you in radiation. And so now they say, okay, we're going to have a computer-generated cartoon of your body so we don't see your genitals. But they're lying. They still have the image, and they're saving it. They admit now they lied about that. So now they're going on the news saying, don't worry, we now create a image over the scan so we can't see your genitals. But that, too, is a lie. And then I read the report in Wired Magazine and Forbes 2 weeks ago about 500 high-powered X-ray machines, many times more powerful than a chest X-ray, super bad for you, 500 mobile vans beaming it into your house, looking into your house, violating the Fourth Amendment. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled last week that citizens can be secretly arrested, tortured, and never seen again. I mean, look, we have a criminal government. We have a rogue, out-of-control government. None of us have a good future if we don't say no to this. None of us have a future. And they fund terrorists. They protect terrorists. They use those terrorists. The CIA's on record funding the Ground Zero Mosque to get everybody fighting with each other so that we'll give up our rights in the name of stopping the supposed Muslim terrorist. It's a joke. It's a fraud. It's a scam. We're reaching millions and millions of new people every week. We are the leading resistance to the globalists right now, and I'm begging listeners to spread the word about the free podcast at prisonplanet.com, to spread the word about the radio show, to get my films, to make copies of them, to give them to everyone you know, and to realize that the feds are coming in saying they want to censor talk radio on the internet. They're now openly pushing it because they're a bunch of crooks. And did you think you'd ever see government-run health care? Did you ever think you'd see all these wars and torture and no Bill of Rights and face scanners and body scanners? Did you ever think you'd see the news promoting taking your pension funds? These people aren't going to back off until we say no to these bullies. Great job, crew.